They say those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. Well, it's time to call out those who abuse their judicial processes at home and still lecture others on domestic matters. Isn't it time that the United States owns up to its own flaws before pointing fingers at others? Time and again, the US has meddled and tried to meddle in India's affairs, and this week was no exception. New Delhi is not taking it lying down. In fact, New Delhi has issued a strong objection to the remarks made by the spokesperson of the US State Department, who called for fair, transparent and timely legal process following the arrest of the Delhi Chief Minister, Arvind Kejriwal. Now, here's what has happened so far. Let's break it all down for you. Earlier this week, a spokesperson from the US State Department said that they were closely monitoring the arrest of Arvind Kejriwal. They encouraged a fair, transparent and timely legal process for him. Last week, the Enforcement Directorate, remember, that's India's financial crime fighting agency, arrested Arvind Kejriwal. He is the leader of the Aam Aadmi Party, which governs India's national capital. Also, it governs the state of Punjab. Arvind Kejriwal was arrested on charges of corruption. Now, this news caused quite a stir in India as it came just weeks before the country heads to the polls. It was also the first time in Indian history that such a move was taken. The ED arrested Arvind Kejriwal for allegedly being involved in corruption related to Delhi's liquor policy. Kejriwal's Aam Aadmi Party claims that the case is fabricated and has accused the authorities of making a politically motivated arrest. However, the authorities have denied any interference. Now, this is a complex political matter, to say the least, which we will get to later. But first, let me just tell you more about the diplomatic row itself that has unfolded between India and the United States. On Wednesday, India summoned the acting US Deputy Chief of Mission in New Delhi, following the comment made by the US State Department. In fact, the Indian External Affairs Ministry issued a statement telling America that India's legal processes are based on an independent judiciary, and casting aspersions on that is unwarranted.
The recent remarks by the State Department are unwarranted. Any such external imputation on our electoral and legal processes is completely unacceptable.
Now, India and the United States have a close friendship, but that does not mean that America can say whatever without being called out. A true friend is not afraid to point out when the other party is wrong, and that is why it's important to remind the US of the number of times an American president has used his power over the judiciary to settle political scores. Just look at the timing behind the many cases against former President Donald Trump, for example. Before the US Supreme Court restored him to the 2024 presidential primary ballots, many states tried to ban him from the polls. The Colorado Supreme Court invoked an archaic constitutional provision to keep Trump from appearing on the ballots. It was the first time a court had ever invoked the insurrection clause to disqualify an ex-president. Colorado was the first state to ban Donald Trump from the ballot, followed by Maine and then Illinois. What's common among these states, you ask? Well, they are all democratic states. And this raised the question, did the Democrats try to misuse the justice system in these states to damage their chief political rival? And if yes, it would have significant implications for democracies world over. Despite all of this, no Indian leader lectured the oldest democracy in the world on their internal affairs. India, the largest democracy of the world, did not meddle in US affairs. Look, the matter in India concerning the arrest of Arvind Kejriwal is quite complex. Both the authorities and Arvind Kejriwal have, of course, reacted. Kejriwal's arrest just days before the elections does also lead to questions being asked. If the ED had evidence against him, why didn't they arrest him earlier? That's one of the questions being asked, for example. On the other hand, Arvind Kejriwal, his alleged evasiveness as far as the law enforcement agency is concerned also casts serious doubts on his claims of innocence. Still, at the end of the day, it is a legal and political matter of India. And as the case plays out in the court, the truth will eventually come to light. However, the US must stop meddling in the affairs of others and start looking at their own actions. It's time to call a spade a spade. Forget about what's going on with the opposition in India. Can Washington take a hard look at itself? And perhaps it's time they did. It's long overdue. And speaking of polls and politics, the Finance Minister of India, Nirmala Sitharaman, has recently made a rather curious statement. She has declined the BJP's offer to contest in the upcoming general elections in India, stating that she does not have the kind of money required for it. She claims that JP Nadda, the party's president, gave her the option to contest either from Andhra Pradesh or Tamil Nadu, but after mulling over the idea for a week or 10 days, she decided not to contest. Now, in her own words, I'm quoting, "I do not have that kind of money to contest," quote unquote. This is the reason why the Finance Minister of India is not running in the upcoming elections. When asked why the country's finance minister does not have enough funds to fight elections, she simply said that the Consolidated Fund of India does not belong to her. She clarified that her salary, earnings and savings are hers and not funded by the Consolidated Fund of India. What is she trying to say is the question. It's unclear. Is she trying to portray herself as holier than thou? Or is she suggesting that everyone else is corrupt? Remember, Nirmala Sitharaman is a Rajya Sabha member. She represents Karnataka in the upper house of the Indian Parliament. Her party, the BJP, has nominated several existing Rajya Sabha members for the upcoming elections that will begin on the 19th of April. In fact, the list includes Piyush Goyal, Bhupendra Yadav, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Jyotiraditya Scindia. From the BJP's regional stalwarts to the Home Minister of India and even the Prime Minister himself, all are set to contest the upcoming polls. Is she suggesting that they have money, but she does not? Surely she can ask her party for support. After all, every political party provides funds for election campaigns. So why can't she contest using those funds? How are other members fighting the polls? Where is their funding coming from? Obviously from the party funds. Polls are fought adhering to the law of the land, and political parties represent their political parties that fund their campaign. Now, according to the Election Commission of India, which caps the election spending for the candidates, a nominee can spend up to rupees 95 lakh per Lok Sabha constituency in larger states. And in smaller states, the election expenditure limit for candidates is 75 lakh rupees. Surely the Finance Minister of India knows that. Unless she needs more to fight elections, perhaps outside the legal limit, or were there other reasons that stopped Sitharaman from contesting? Our next story is about a historic move. It's to do with Mohiniyattam. For those of you who may not be aware, it is an Indian classical dance form originating from the southern state of Kerala. It is known for its graceful body movements, the emphasis on acting, among other aspects. In the latest, the Kerala Kalamandalam has taken a historic decision. Now, before I go on, let me tell you a little bit about the Kerala Kalamandalam. It is the state's premier cultural university. Now, it has lifted the gender curbs to learn Mohiniyattam. Basically, so far, it was allowing only women to learn the dance form, but now it has decided to also admit men for it. This is a huge decision. It was taken by the Kalamandalam governing body. Earlier, a row broke out over remarks made by the dancer Kalamandalam Satyabhama against dancer R.L.V. Ramakrishnan. The remarks had triggered criticism from various quarters. The remarks were against males performing the Mohiniyattam dance. In fact, cases have been initiated against Satyabhama by the Kerala State Human Rights Commission as well. Mohiniyattam artist R.L.V. Ramakrishnan has alleged that the remarks were targeted at him. He also has lodged a complaint with the police. According to reports, he has welcomed the decision by the Kerala Kalamandalam to open the doors to males to learn Mohiniyattam. Boys will be admitted in the next academic year itself at the high school, degree and PG levels. And this is more than just a decision. It is a landmark moment. A move that is significant for multiple reasons, to say the least. It sends out a strong message. It marks a shift in gender norms and pushes forward the idea of embracing inclusivity.